exciting stuff.
What's exciting? This song?
Life is exciting. My brother, life is exciting.
I have a comeback, but I'll just reserve it.
I appreciate it.
Just,
Thank you so much.
Yeah. Out of respect for the guest, more than anything.
Alright.
I'm trying to be on the best view.
So, okay, the aircraft. Well, yeah. All that stuff we're going to be looking at, because I spoke behind the scenes to somebody else, and I have questions also about the type of aircraft. So I noticed that someone had pointed out that we keep the press keeps mixing up what it is that we're getting, the different, so we'll look at that as well, and just try and let the audience drive a lot of the conversation, but it'll be fun. Thank you very much, sir.
Very quickly, your thoughts?
I just have to absolutely proceed.
Final say.
In fact, it's never been a question about who stands out unique in the best radio programming.
So raise your glasses, folks. Ladies and gentlemen, this toast goes to Smooth Music.
And it can never be a question about who we are. We are Smooth 98.1.
Studio, microphones are up. We are live. Good morning to you, Lagos. You're tuned in and listening to Smooth Breakfast on Smooth 98.1 with Valentine.
And Folu.
Yes, thank you very much. I was like, Val, you left me hanging here.
No, I wouldn't.
Lagos, it is just about a minute gone past 9 today, Wednesday, the 16th of May, and we are inside a Lagos Talk special. We're taking a look at insecurity and the current state of the nation. Now, to join us in this conversation and to help guide us a little bit and expand on perhaps some military background that we may be unaware of, we have got Air Commodore Najeem in the studio. Good morning, sir. How are you doing?
I'm cool, and you?
I'm fantastic. Great to have you here with us once more.
All right.
We've managed to drag you in. We appreciate your time. Thank you very much for joining us.
No, that's okay. Thank you.
Okay, now Lagos, obviously we always have you with us, and we're inviting you to start get ready with your questions on a number of the topics we're looking at. We're going to be looking at some of the articles coming through this May, talking about the Air Force, the aircraft we've deployed, the type of aircraft we have, taking a look at some of the withdrawal in terms of funding, security, personnel in the country, and also to help us with that conversation, we've dragged in one of our freshly pressed analysts. Ikemesit Effiong is in the studio with us at this time. Good morning.
Good to be back.
Yeah, how does it feel this time of the morning? It's a little bit different in the studio.
Yeah. The coffee has kicked in now,
The
so
air-
I feel better.
You're more aware. We like it. We like it.
Exactly.
Oh, yes. Lagos, you can participate, join this conversation very actively right now by memorizing this number for calls. It's 0144899981. I'll take it again. 0144899981. That's the number to call. To send your messages on WhatsApp only, 0809 444 0981. One more time, 0809 444 981. On Twitter, the hashtag is Lagos Talks 981, or by sending that message there on Twitter, we'll see it, we'll read it. Go to YouTube, join the live stream. It's youtube.com/smooth981FM Lagos.
Yes, indeed. Now, Lagos, what we're going to do for you is we're also going to tweet the link to some of the articles so that you can follow along why we're asking certain questions. And of course, when you have questions of yourself and articles you can point to, please do let us know. So the first one we're looking at this morning came in from the Vanguard on the 3rd of May. It spoke about the Air Force deploying 4 attack planes to the southeast. And now at the time, Air Marshal Abubakar had spoken during a ground-breaking and foundation-laying ceremony of the Air Force Ground Training Command in Enugu, and talked about the purpose of the Air Force Training Command Complex, talked about tackling insurgency, recruiting personnel. Now, Air Commodore Najeem, this is very interesting stuff to us, the average civilian, because we really, there's always a lot of almost secrecy surrounding what it is that our armed forces do, the steps that we take to tackle insurgency. And a lot of civilians at the moment, or a lot of Nigerians, are critical of the commentary that had been coming out of the government saying, well, we've largely decimated, the most devastating terrorist group we've had in Nigeria, which has been Boko Haram, yet we're still seeing a lot of this effort going into tackling insecurity. Is there any way you can shed light on this for us?
Thank you very much. Let me start with the Boko Haram menace that we're all witnessing today. Didn't just start as at the time the military came into that operation. It's been there all along. If we all observe in the past, in the northeast, there's been these banditry activities that has been going on. Today, they will hijack vehicles, go into banks, and so on and so forth. And when the politics came in, the then administration of Al Sharif started, using some of these boys that were all over the places, and so on and so forth. So when, it's Nigerian problem. When you finish using the boys, what do you do with
the
them?
boys?
And at the end of the day, they were dumped. And somewhere along the line, they started having issues with the police here and there, and arrests came in. It coincided with the time the Libya issue came up, when Gaddafi was being pushed away from that side. And a lot of boys that were left unattended, not doing anything, saw an opening in the issue of the Gaddafi environment. Some of those people that came from that side, they said, what is happening? How can these people be treating you this manner? You can join us, and you have a lot of good things. So the boys became agitated, and they joined these groups. And that was how the whole thing came in. Then, honestly speaking, there have been problem with intelligence failure in this country, intelligence failure, and synergy among the security services. There's never been synergy. Yes, the so-called SSS, the NIA, and so on and so forth. They had all these reports that this is what we're about to experience, and it's going to be terrible for this country if we don't tackle this menace
ahead of time.
So most of them, they kept this information until the boys find a leeway to join these groups, and it became a problem for the country. As a matter of fact, that was in 2014. It was a documentary that we watched. The then National Security Advisor, Major General Sekiya Kibele, said, if Nigeria does not tackle this problem, we will not be out of this problem for the next 20 years. Because if you watch that documentary, you see the amount of weapons that came in from Libya. And what happened? We all stood aloof. Nobody took any serious action.
Well, a lot of people didn't believe it. I mean, even till now, whenever there is mention of any kind of foreign influence security problems that we have here, the average citizen says, and we get it a lot, rhetoric from our politicians as well, where it almost seems some sort of fabricated story. Where is this coming from? What does this mean? Is it since what is not possible? I mean, Ikemesit, you're in some of these conversations quite a lot. I mean, and what do you make of what we're discussing?
Yeah, so the interesting bit is, if you look at, say, for example, the situation that we had in the later parts of 2017, I mean, in the later parts of 2016 and much of 2017, with when the herdsmen situation initially came up, right? So you had a lot of politicians who came out and said, these are not Nigerians, these are Nigerians, and these are folks who essentially came across, from our northern borders, and they have been perpetrating all of these acts of terror, and they were attacking communities and all of the others. It does seem like there seems to be a collective political will to, once we once we point a finger at someone other than us or other than people who are necessarily Nigerian, right, we think somehow it absolves us. I'm just interested in understanding sort of the official thinking within the military, Air Commodore. Like, how? Okay, so it's so that's so essentially that has been the story and that has been the experience, and it does make the work and the job of the military in actually dealing with a lot of our security threats that's much more difficult, because on the one hand they have a job that is logistically challenging, and of course there is the obvious potential for for harm, that could affect officers, that could affect lives, and that could affect properties. On the other hand, there might be a way in which you prosecute that fight, in which people can leverage on that and acquire political capital, and then essentially use that to feed their own nefarious political goals. So sometimes it seems, from my own standpoint, like the military are caught in sort of a catch-22 situation. They have to prosecute the fight, but then some people might look at some of the ways and some of the actions they might be taking and think, oh, it's lopsided in favor of this side, or oh, they should do this more appropriately, or oh, if are they taking cognizance of this, are they taking cognizance of that, but they're not the ones making the everyday decisions on the ground. And it's very difficult because, a lot of the times the military can come out and say, this is actually what we're trying to achieve, because there's an enemy out there.
Interesting. Lagos, we're going to take a very quick break. When we come back, we'll continue this discussion. Please do take down our number and start calling us up, 01448991, or send in messages to us via WhatsApp, 0809 4440981. We'll be back after this break.
Very valuable, contribution, because our political masters and the military,
frustrating you
yes, the military that time, you see, typical Nigerian, you can't tell the boss and tell them, come, we don't have this. You tell them what the hell is happening. We budgeted for, let me say, 5 billion. You can take 1 billion to manage what you want to do now. I'm giving you.
Manage.
Okay,
so that is it.
So I'm trying to.
So how do you get it right?
So I'm trying to understand the budget process. Is it that the military goes up to the political leaders and says, we need A, we need B, we need C, we need D, and then the government tries to provide for those specifically, or is it most times, like you said, where you have a general budget, then as the situation arises on the ground, you feel you have a specific need for a certain kind of equipment, you go and meet them and they say, well, you have a budget, so take it from there. How does it work?
See, the budget process is simple. At the beginning of the year, every directorate, you'll make your input from the operation, administration. So you all make your budget and you forward to a budget office. They collate everything, goes to the National Assembly, they invite you for verification and so on and so forth. So at the end of the day, they say, okay, Armed Forces, this is your budget, Air Force, this is your budget, Navy, this is your budget. The tanks like that. Then execution. We need this. Yes, most budgets are predicated on perceived threats, right? So, okay, we're likely to face this threat here and there. And this is what we need. At the end of the day, if probably those threats ease, the political masters will say, after all, Air Force, you requested for this so airplane. We cannot just afford it. There are other, critical issues here. Let's let it go there. But it has been a whole failure of processes.
Okay.
From the beginning.
Okay.
So at the end of the day, they will say, okay, have this. This is how much we have budgeted for 5 billion. Take 1 billion or so. Go and resolve whatever you want to resolve. But we all know that some of these things won't come that way. Especially the logistics. And to compound everything, the international community, the gang up. A lot of people didn't know that the gang up was a real barrier.
Gang up between.
Yes, from the interior, particularly, being led by the Americans.
Okay.
That
We are going live in 18 seconds.
Okay.
Guys on YouTube, feel free to send us any questions that you may have. Let us know. Okay. Microphones are back up. We are live. Welcome back. You're joining us on a Lagos Talk special in the studio with Valentine and myself.
Folu.
We have got a special guest with us, Air Commodore Najeem Sanusi, who's joining us because of his expertise and background in the Nigerian Air Force to just give us a little bit more of a perspective on what's been going on in security in the nation. Thank you very much for joining us again, sir.
Thank you.
And we have got our usual suspect inside of Freshly Pressed. He's here with us.
Decidedly
Different
non-special.
hour. Different. Sorry, you're not that special.
No,
I know.
A more special gentleman in the
No
studio.
offense
It's
taken.
okay. Just manages. Call us up on 0144899981 if you'd like to share your thoughts with us. Ikemesit Effiong is with us in the studio as well, or send in your messages to us on 0809 4440981. Just before the break, we were talking about how the Boko Haram came to be, and just taking a look at what we're doing in terms of training personnel and just trying to get up to speed. So, Air Commodore, I'm quite interested in where we are right now in terms of training our troops, getting to a place where we will actively be able to defend not just our borders, but really even within the nation, and looking at the way that at least the Air Force and the military are being deployed in different insecurity spots at the moment. Just before I get to you, sorry, let's just see if we can take a call. Just hold on for a second.
Hello, good morning. Hello. Good morning. What's your name?
Samuel, where are you
Mr.
calling
Sam.
us from this morning?
From where? All right, go ahead with your question.
Hey,
Oh,
welcome.
good to have
Thank
you,
you. Thank you. Okay.
Samuel, your audio is really poor.
You're going
could
to have
you-
to
could
speak
you-
up. Hello, good morning. What's your name? Where are you calling us from, please?
Your name again?
Your name once more, please. Hello. All right, a slight signal issues this morning. Air Commodore, sorry, going back to you talking about the training of our personnel. Where are we right now? Where do you think we should be?
Yeah, what I can say right now is that the training has been ongoing. In fact, the vision of the current chief of air staff is to build capacity building.
Okay.
We've seen these gaps in this war, and I can tell Nigerians that what we are currently experiencing today, we weren't really prepared as such, because nobody actually knew this thing would come in this manner. And previously it's been, the way we defend the country has not been this. Okay, we're going to fight insurgency. It's going to be okay, armed robbery issues, and so on and so forth. But the way this issue of insurgency came makes us to rethink, and the current leadership has invested a lot of in training. Take for instance, if you observe of recent, there've been a lot of massive aggressive training on our pilots. And if you would, during there was a graduation that came up in Kaduna, which we have about almost 18 of them been trained. So a lot of them are still being sent outside the country. As a matter of fact, why we had the lull for the training was because of the sanction on the countries and so on and so forth. Because during the administration of Goodluck Jonathan, we've not been we're not given a lot of training slots, globally here and there, except some few countries like Pakistan and Russia that came to our aid.
Interesting.
Yes.
And
Why so-
we're seeing some of those dealings now. Let's just see who we can get on the phone line. Good morning. Please turn off your radio for us. The feedback was horrid, so we had to take you off the air. We're putting you back on now. Let us know your name and where you're calling from.
Emeka from where? All right, Emeka from Ikeja, go ahead. Good morning.
This insurgency of a thing is giving a few individuals, it's making a few individuals very rich. So, and to them, these individuals could be people at the citadel of the position of authority. The moment insurgency stops, their source of income stops. I see no reason why. Who is Boko Haram? If you look at some of these boys, they're not charlatans. Who are they to match with the Nigerian army? The Air Force is there. The police is there. Who are these people that didn't even get any training? So anybody who is saying that people are coming from Libya, from this, I don't, well, that people are entitled to their own opinion. But I think some people are making a whole lot of money. If you look at how much was invested in fighting Boko Haram, my dear, you will just weep for this.
All right. Thank you very much for that, Emeka. Thank you very much. Very interesting. And again, we're seeing this thing where the money is being invested now, but when was it invested? How long does it take for us to get to the capacity we need to? Do you want to go ahead and answer his questions, please? Air Commodore.
Okay, yeah. You see, the war of this soldier, like I said, we weren't actually prepared the way it is, and coupled with the sanctions that came in. And if you look at, like the caller said, yes, there are ragtags here and there, but I can tell you that it is weapon that determines the ultimate decision of any war. If you don't have, frankly speaking, there's nowhere you can go to. The country suffered, we didn't have this weapon, and this weapon, these people looted from the Libyan environment. They got it and they started again. At a stage, you observe that the governor of Denver and the governor of Broadway said, the way it is, like these people were more equipped than our military. It's a fact. We never had those weapons. But most of those weapons that the former administration requested for started coming in when he left the office.
And this is talking about the Goodluck Jonathan administration.
Yes, he was the person that actually, made provision for this weapon. And they started coming in.
Okay.
As at the time he left. So it's those weapons that we are using that were, to prosecute the war right now.
I mean, how long do you think it will take for us to get to a place where we are a military force to be reckoned with? Because right now, as you said, if we were unprepared, and all of these things have happened, which have exposed or shown us really how vulnerable we are, because now it's not just insurgencies within the nation. We're looking at issues now with our neighbors, border skirmishes, with Cameroon, with people that are trooping in and out, essentially. I mean, it's quite frightening. What is the span of time we're looking at? Because as we move on through the stories, we know we're looking at the Tucano
jets.
Well, they're not jets.
Some people say jets.
They've corrected. I've been warned.
Exactly.
I've been instructed to not refer to those as jets. They're fighting craft of some description. I mean, 2020 is when that's going to show up. So, and it's a long time.
What's the space of time between making a request for a specific set of weapons or crafts until the delivery date?
The average span. The average span takes between 3 to 4 years. But if they want to fast forward it, that is to say, these things are based on requests. It's not something that you go to the shelf and pick. You request for it, they get all the research done and so on and so forth. Because your own country must make it simple into what that airplane will do for you. But take for instance, we have F7, Nigeria. F7, that is one of the aircrafts in our inventory. That's one of the bombers.
Yes.
We call it F7N. There's F7 Zimbabwe, there's F7 so many different countries. And those things are based on what the challenges, the likely challenges that we're going to face in our environment.
Interesting.
So those are the things that come in there. But you see, the way it is right now, the capacity building is ongoing. The administration is trying. And but they need to do more. They need to do more if we have to be there. Because take or leave it, this insurgency, like I said, we were prepared, and it has come. So I don't know.
It has met us.
It has met us.
As Ikemesit thinks very hard on what's going on right now.
Go back to the phone lines. Hello, good morning. Good morning.
Good morning.
What's your name? All right.
Sociable, welcome. Go ahead.
And he corroborated what Mr. President said earlier, that some of the men came from Libya. And in fact, they fueled the process. They fueled everything by injecting arms into the system, and then these guys started operation. I want to ask, is it true that somebody said he would make a particular government ungovernable? Somebody said attack on Boko Haram is attack on the North.
All right. Thank you. Thank you very much for that, Sociable. I think you've. Okay.
Boko Haram is only in the Northeast. If people infiltrated into Nigeria from another place, why is it only in the Northeast? Because we have
Okay, Sociable. For time reasons, you've asked the questions. Just let him answer, okay? Just for time reasons, so we can have a flowing conversation. So, questions pointing at statements that were allegedly made by President Muhammad Buhari, and asking, listen, if these are infiltrations, if we do have people that have infiltrated the country, why do they seem to be concentrated just in the northeast?
Yeah.
Well, like I said, you know, before any issue or any challenge will come in, it's not just easy for an intruder to come into your house, except it has a place for it to, to perform its activities. When the issue of the tussle between the former governor and these boys came up in Burundi and so forth, so there were a lot of agitations here and there, and the so-called infiltrators find it easy to convince the boys. Number one, they were jobless. There's no school. There's nothing for them to do. So then I said, well, if that is the case, you have dumped us. You have used us. You have dumped us. We can now use this thing. Let's go to these people, get whatever they have to fight the government. And that is exactly what those people have done. Unfortunately for them, or fortunately for the country, we never look at it from that national perspective. We're looking at it as, it's an internal affair matter that they can contain. That is, that was the mistake the government made. If we had looked at it, say, come, the way this thing is coming is too boomerang and it will affect the whole country. So we really have to tackle it. But unfortunately, we didn't look at it from that perspective.
Was that the reason for the delayed response of the government at the first instance?
Yes, I can tell you. That was the reason. Because, I'll tell you, some of the actors in this Boko Haram, some of them were arrested. When these things were coming up, at the end of the day, you say, okay, Yusuf in particular, that's the head, the arrowhead that time, that police killed, was arrested several times to Abuja. And at the end of the day, they say, okay, leave him, and then that's it.
Leave him for why?
Yeah, because for political reasons.
Does he have supporters or people backing him in the power?
Yes, that is what I can say conclusively that. Because at the end of the day, they will say, okay, these people, they're having internal crisis with some of these the governors here and there. Leave him and let's have peace and so on and so forth.
All right.
That's just what has been happening.
We do have to take a break. When we come back, we will continue this conversation. Do keep calling us up 01448991. We are talking about insecurity in the current state of the nation on Smooth 98.1. There you go.
Ask me. Honestly, there should be a summit on this issue. Where people say their mind and tell the truth. How we are at this level. Take it or leave it.
But people do that. But that aside, be organized.
Go do that because a lot of people are going to be implicated. Even the so-called indigenous of the Borno elders too. Have they actually come out to say anything?
How did they get in there? How did they? Because you can't have, if I'm a chief of a clan, and some foreigners come, there's no way I will know because
it means they're no
have
foreigners.
Eyes and ears out there.
They are your friends.
That means you're welcoming them.
You're welcoming them. You're welcoming them. That is the problem.
So here's an issue that I'd like us to address when we're going back in, because we now know that we have this problem. The problem is here. We know long term that it's going to take a bit of time for us to get to a certain level of capacity. The training that we're providing at the moment, is it going to be enough to combat this spate of insurgency that we have right now? Because if we have enough things go off across the country at different times, because yes, we're saying Boko Haram is just in the northeast, but in you have herdsmen that are roaming around everywhere else in the middle belt. We have down south, we've got what's going on in the creeks, the kidnappings, and we're seeing that Air Force and military are being deployed to all these separate battle zones. On in terms of preparedness and looking at a little bit, because we do have to talk a bit about the makers. I know they're probably not the military's favorite people to talk about, but the National Assembly there are issues with how money has been taken out of the excess crude account. Just looking at all these factors and how they might come into play in the house as the people be more secure.
More secure.
Because it's concerning.
People want closure.
So we just need to understand. It feels like there's no real understanding.
Yeah, well, there's blame
It's like there's fire on the mountain
Yeah.
and nobody's really running.
There's really fire on the mountain. And like I said, if we have a summit, really summit. It's not really military, solving the problem. You see,
the problem is not just it doesn't require military solution.
Deradicalization has to be done because the boys there. Honestly speaking, if you ask me, they've all been radicalized. Wow. And you see the issue. I will link it to this drug issue that we are talking about. Most of them don't have anything to do with anything to take drug and maybe they have take little money, buy food and join us. We're going to liberate you. What are these people doing?
We're going to liberate you. That's really that's actually
we're going to liberate you.
Okay.
So de-radicalization is very, very key. Yes, the Air Force can bomb, the Army can do whatever they want to do.
We're coming back in. Valentine, do you want to bring us in? And then Ikemesit, do you want to ask whatever questions you have also in that line? Thank you. Studio.
Lagos, thank you very much for joining us on a special edition of Lagos Talks 98. Use the hashtag on social media, on Twitter, on YouTube as well, youtube.com/smooth98.1 FM. We have a special guest in here, Air Commodore Najeem Sanusi. He's joining us to discuss and address the insecurity situation in the country, pretty much just explaining how Nigeria has faced this problem over the time, what the efforts the military is putting into fight insurgency, and where we're at this point.
All right. Ikemesit Effiong is also in the studio with us, and I know we sort of kept you a little bit quiet, Ikemesit, but what's been your take on everything so far?
Okay, well, our guest has highlighted a couple of things which for those of us who aren't particularly familiar with my day job, it's not my day job, right? So my organization, SBM Intelligence, we've sort of systematically over the last 3-4 years chronicled a lot of the issues around a lot of the insecurity around a lot of the security hotspots around the country, and a lot of the things that we have been saying and we have been seeing on the ground, you have been corroborating. You talk about the breakdown of human intelligence. You didn't mention that specifically, but when you talk about the fact that our borders are porous, people come in, they're not communicating with the military, lots of civilians. There was a recent report that talked about in parts of Cameroon that share the border with us, the civilians and the military over there's been such a breakdown of communication that they do not interface with them and probably warn them of potential security threats. You talk about the fundamental economic contradictions that exist in this part of the country that sort of fuel this conflict and all of that. And essentially we're saying of air, the solution is not just military. The solution has all right across all actors that are involved. We've got to involve them in trying to get down to addressing the situation. But it's interesting to me now. So I want to talk a bit about training right now. I know that there's a lot of things that the military, and especially the Air Force, where you are doing in terms of training personnel to address some of these situations. I don't know if we have sort of like a picture of what exactly is what specific kinds of trainings, if that is possible for you to disclose that, our officers and our men getting involved in order to be able to tackle some of these challenges.
In addition to the pilot training, those ones has been ongoing. We have what we call the special forces too. Okay. These special forces are made up of what we call regiment personnel. They are like the army infantry. I don't know what they call that. The army infantry. They take them into attack helicopters. They take them into remote areas and they drop. In most cases, behind the enemy line. They are special forces. They are like this American, special forces too. Yeah. So they've been trained to withstand all sort of rugged environment. So that has been very, very intensive, and we have, in that regard, the British Special Forces. They have been in the country, and also the Americans too. The Special Forces being in the country, because all these things, this training, our our people that trying to assist others are based on their experience in the field of how to tackle insurgency. So these special forces, they are the one that, in fact, as a matter of fact, the special forces are very, very more rugged than some of the ground troops, because they go into any terrain and they are being supported by the helicopters and so on and so forth. I think that is the focus right now, because if you go with the bombers, you bomb and so on and so forth. At the end of the day, the Boko Harams, probably they hide. But if you now have the combat helicopters with the special forces, as you bomb or you fire your gun, you fire your rocket, they can go and mop up the environment, and see where they are.
Okay.
Like when you have the bombers that bomb and you go.
Yeah. So it's more targeted, more specific.
Yes. That's training right now.
Okay. Thank you very
much. It's
achieving
results.
All right. Hello. Good morning. Good morning. What's your name and where are you calling from? Yeah, Joseph, you have a question? Okay.
Joseph, sorry, can you please turn off your radio? Joseph, we're getting really horrible feedback. Sorry, I had to take you off the air. Please turn off your radio and then continue. Okay, go ahead. Okay.
Diplomatic relationship with Libya to cut off their supply weapons. If we're able to do this in Biafra, why can't we do it today?
All right, Joseph. I think that's it. Is that the question? So for time reasons, we only got about 3 minutes left, so we can allow Air Commodore to answer. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Joseph.
Yeah. Basically, Joseph asked where they are getting their weapons from,
and why they can't be starved of this, and why can't we go targeted?
That has been a very, very, serious issue. A lot of people will say yes, from Libya, and let's say from Central Africa, but with Nigerians are forgetting that the Boko Haram, particularly the Al-Banna, they are, part of the ISIS, and ISIS has a way to bring and bringing this weapon to this part of the world. And like I said, in this studio before, in northern part of our country, that is in the Sahel region, it's an ungoverned area. Anything can happen there. They can bring weapon there and sneak it in, because we have porous borders here and there. So these weapons infiltrate from this, from those directions to this country. And
so we're really not capable of stopping it.
Yes, it will be very, very difficult. If you know that space, that ungoverned space, anything can happen. Anybody can bring any weapon there, sneak into this country, and so on and so forth.
Can I ask a quick question about interagency cooperation as well? Because again, primary responsibility for maintaining and policing our borders does not necessarily lie with you. So are you having a conversation with the Immigration Service? Are you having a conversation with customs, as in, is there any framework on the ground where you can pass on information to them and say, okay, these are some of our problem hotspots, can we plug this gap, can we deal with this section of our border so that it makes our work easier?
Well, like in the security sector of this country, we have the National Security Advisor, which is the coordinator, coordinating office for all the security services. What we have just brought, that is where all these issues are brought to.
But this information, does it get passed on to the office of the NSA?
Yes, they do. They do. They are quite aware of this information.
Action
is not taken.
That's
why
I'm asking the question.
They take action. However, I would say probably we're overwhelmed. You
Well,
understand?
moving forward, though, like what could be a solution, a possible solution, we'll see.
The possible solution, which I can say right now, is yes, interagency collaboration. We need to further, do that. And again, we must, as a matter of fact, this war has gone beyond the physical and so on and so forth. Electronic has to be deployed. Electronic intelligence has to be deployed. Electronic intelligence must be deployed for us to nip this war. Electronic intelligence.
Thank you,
All
sir.
right. Thank you. I really wish we had so much more time, but we are over time for this morning. There will be more specials. Yes, we are done this morning. I know Air Commodore is like, why? There's so much more to discuss. I do completely understand, and we will be hopefully be able to beg for some more of your time shortly in the future to see if we can get you back on here. Thank you to everyone who's called. Thank you, Ikemesit, for joining us this morning. Thank you to everyone who sent in messages. I'll just I can't. There's no time to even read out the messages. We're just done. We do have to switch lanes now. Heading over to talk money matters. It is time for Alat 101. Joining us to help in that conversation, we've got the very lovely Judith in the studio. Stay with us, guys. You are still listening to Smooth Breakfast on Smooth 98.1.
The time just flew by.
No time.